say a pleasant good evening to Dr. Kevin Sarran, the National Transformation Alliance Director of Youth. A pleasant good evening, and again, always a pleasure to have you on.
Thank you so much for having me on the show, Mikey.
Yes, and let me tell you something, you have been on the social platforms with a lot of great narratives. I want to thank you and your team for getting a lot of information out there to the general public.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Starting with the aspect of youth, recently the Children's Authority recorded 504 reports of sexual abuse in a 5-month period. According to the acting director of the care services of the Children's Authority, Rhonda Gregoire Rupchan, she said among the statistics for the 5 months were 284 reports of physical abuse and 251 emotional abuse. These stark numbers indicate a societal problem that requires not only our urgent attention, but a dedicated effort to evoke behavioral and cultural change that comes from all of us. Now, we've heard this before, even going back, of course, to that saying, it takes a village to raise a child. But what has happened as far as this culture and this behavior, things that we would not have tolerated before, seems to be the norm now? And is it fair to say that young people, they are looking on? They are seeing a lot of things that we may compromise as far as our integrity or moral turpitude. Is that adding to a lot of what we're seeing here as far as this behavioral effect?
Yeah, so that's a very good question, Mikey. So that situation with that amount of abuse, whether it's physical, whether it's sexual abuse in Trinidad and Tobago, one, if you have just one person reporting that, that is one too many. That is a situation that should never happen in any society. Now, I come from a medical background, so I could tell you that these numbers that they report are almost, the numbers are a lot more higher because there are a lot of cases that don't go reported for situations with stigmatism, right? Now, our culture does play a significant part in that situation in Trinidad and Tobago, but this is really, it's a multitude of factors. You have income equality, you have a cultural aspect to it, you have a financial aspect to it. It's not just one situation that fits all for this particular group of people. But, there's a lot that could be done to help these persons, but it takes a coordinated effort.
Yeah, but a lot of these individuals who people refer to as pests, as criminal elements, they did not evolve overnight. It would have been over a period of time. Now we have something known as the Trinidad music, and some people are saying, hands off, don't talk about it. But when you look at what's taking place as far as the lyrics and the backlash, where people have allegedly been killed for singing about someone else, and it seems as though the young people, and throughout the years of history, have always found some way to openly express themselves. And music has always been one of those avenues. What are we witnessing now when it seems to be that it's engineered by so much violence, even though all this crime is playing out?
Well, that's a good question also. And I want you to take a look at what is happening right now in Jamaica. In terms of the world statistics for crime and criminality, we are ranked number 6. Jamaica is actually ranked much lower than us. And previously, they were at the top 10 in Caribbean when it comes to crime and violence and murders and whatnot, right? These people have their cultural vibes of music is known to be one of a more violent nature compared to other people. They're always speaking about this group with guns and violence and getting back at their rivals and whatnot. And look at the situation in Trinidad and Tobago. I mean, we are now ahead of them in terms of crime and criminality. And most of our artists, I would say, speak positive vibes. You would have the occasional one or two persons speaking about guns, but it's nowhere near to that, which brings us to the conclusion that music alone even violent movies alone, doesn't singly contribute to crime and criminality in Trinidad and Tobago.
Okay, but of course it would make some contribution, because if these lyrics are there and it's penetrating the psyche of many of the young people, believing that, hey, this is the way it has to be, this is my area, I have to represent, and unfortunately it turns out most of the times to be in a negative manner, where somebody's life is snuffed out or it's gang related and the war continues. I mean, how do we get to the root of, because we've heard it so fathers be fathers and raise your children, and we hear all of that, but I mean, we were not in a position to force anybody to actually take up their responsibility and the role that they need to play. So where do we go to get a level of understanding to deal with these issues?
That's an excellent question also. So as I said, Mikey, this is multifactorial. You can't blame single parents. You can't blame music. It's a group of things that are responsible for this. Our culture plays a very small part in it. Music plays a very small part in it. Violence plays a small part in it. If you look at the people and the statistics of the people who go into prison and come out, it's almost like these people are being recycled over and over. They go in there for one thing, they come out back. They stay 3 months outside. They're going back again because there's an avenue for them to actually make money. And as somebody had rightly put it, I heard over social media, that is almost like a university for criminals, the prisons. Because when they go in there, they learn things, they make links, and they come out back, they execute those links, and then they go back in. And that's how they make their money. We need to have some sort of reform in place to help these people that are coming out of prison. We need to integrate them back into society, and that will take care of a lot of the problems that we have right now.
And of course, you also mentioned on the TikTok platform, one of your videos was that those individuals who feel that they're insulated and they're not going to be touched, it is coming not just at your doorstep, but it's coming in your home. And it's taking place. And there are those who may be privileged to jump on a plane and go, but the rest of us who say, listen, this is my land, this is my country, we will have to stay there. So when does one understand their role and what role they play in trying to deal with this situation, whether it be your corporate responsibility or that of a true patriot?
Yeah. So in my videos, and that particular video that you're talking about, what was stated was that the situation with the middle class in Trinidad and Tobago sort of acts as a buffer between the lower class and the upper class. So if you think about it this way, right, the people who are the top tier or the upper class, these people have access to security, they have access to firearms, they have access to gated communities and whatnot, right? These people are protected more or less from the criminal elements. Now, if you look at the middle class, these people are the most vulnerable. You have the man who's coming off the street that's trying to buy his car for the first time, who's trying to make a down payment on a house for the first time. These people are not so much focused on security. So they are more or less the group of people that are most vulnerable and most accessible to criminals. So the criminals tend to target the middle class first. Now, that middle class is about 51% of Trinidad and Tobago. And that number is deteriorating rapidly. And I just want to point out something, right?
Yeah.
In Trinidad and Tobago, we have one of the highest levels of income equality, right? And let me just quote you some figures.
Sure.
In the top 10% of households in Trinidad and Tobago, 10% of Trinidad controls 45% of the wealth. The bottom 40% of Trinidad and Tobago controls just 2% of the wealth. Let me reiterate how amazing this figure is.
Yeah.
Round up 40% to let's say 50%, carried up a little bit. Half of Trinidad and Tobago controls 2% of the wealth. That figure is alarming. And then you wonder why crime is spiraling out of control in Trinidad. We are not providing the right opportunities for these people.
No, when you look at that information, right-thinking citizens would say, listen, that's not right. We have to try to make some changes. We need to talk to some people. But if people who simply cannot understand where you're coming from, they would take that as, you see, this justifies my wrongdoing. This justifies my criminal activity. Nobody's giving me anything. Look how much they control. They have it all. And if that narrative, God forbids, starts to spread like the way COVID did, what is going to happen to our beloved country?
It is going to deteriorate quite rapidly, and you made a very good statement there, and I can't argue with that. That is exactly it's exactly how citizens will think. They will use that to justify it. But the truth is, Mikey, the government is the one that is elected and is supposed to provide opportunities for the young people. Now, there's another cultural aspect, whether the people want to take up employment or not. Some people don't feel like they should be working for minimum wage. They might get more money doing crime. But you have to provide the right opportunities, and you have to adopt a change in culture to get the young people involved. And it's not just simply, not everybody could just take up themselves and go to a different country. That opportunity is not there for everybody else. There are people in here who have to stick it out, people who have kids, grandkids, successive generations, and it's not going to be healthy for these people unless we change what's happening in Trinidad.
Then should we have our own national conversation on this rather than waiting for the authorities?
Of course. That is something I would definitely advocate for. And we have already started putting things into place to initiate something of that nature.
All right. Now, also on the platform, on TikTok and other platforms, you talk about transparency. You talk about that a lot. And recently at a sports day, a PNM Sports Day, the Prime Minister spoke about dismantling the 4 service commissions. He said that if change was what the population really wanted, then the abolition of these commissions would be supported. What say you?
Mike, that is the most disturbing thing that I've ever heard. When you have these service commissions, these things are supposed to be independent of political interference. It's why they are separate entities. When you join them up together, if you have 4 different police service commissions, right? For example, you may have the judicial, legal, you have the police service commission, you have the teaching service commission, the public service commission, and whatnot, right? If you have 4 different entities and you want to infiltrate that, politically interfere with it, you have to go to each one and put your people into place. It makes it so much more difficult to do if it's 4 entities. By bringing them under one umbrella, you just have to infiltrate one group of people. So it's very disturbing from that point of view, from political interference.
Yeah, because, I mean, again, the question would arise, I had Wade Mark on and we spoke about this, who would appoint the judges, who would appoint the teachers, the public servants, things like promotions and transfers. I mean, that in itself would become a very, very interesting situation because would it be a matter of merit or just having an allegiance to some political party that would have you elevated through the rank and file of all of these things?
That is an excellent point to make, because look at the situation, right? You have a prime minister who more or less selects a president, who selects a police service commissioner. You have a prime minister who selects the attorney general, who then screens members for becoming part of the senior council, then passes on that information to the chief justice, who then passes on to the president, who was also selected by the prime minister. Then you have the prime minister who selects, indirectly the speaker of the house. This man, this group of people, this position has too much power for one person. It's almost like tentacles, and it's infiltrating every crack and crevice in Trinidad and Tobago, and it's not healthy for the outcome that's going to happen in the near future.
Yeah. Closing comments, go right ahead on any issue. Go right ahead, it's your turn.
I want to tell the young people in Trinidad and Tobago that you guys need to get involved. You guys need to get involved in politics. There's no sort of qualification, special qualification that you need. A lot of people seem to think that, they need to have, some mass doctorate or something of some nature. But I want to tell the young people in Trinidad and Tobago that you guys need to get involved. Select a political party, select a mentor, somebody who has the same beliefs that you have, where you want to see Trinidad and Tobago go, and just get involved. You have to be the change that you want to see.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sarran. It's a pleasure as always. Keep up the good work. All the best of luck to you and your team, and we'll be talking again in the near future.
Thank you so much, Mike.
Thank you so much. Master Control, let's take a break. When we come back, UNC Senator Jayanti Lachmedial, her name was calling last night. Apparently, it's the official election campaign. It's on the footings. When we come back, we'll be speaking to her right here on The Observer. Right back.
Midland Hardware is now located at number 97 Eastern Main Road, Aruca. We now stock a wider range of roofing and plumbing supplies, tools, water tanks, blocks, lumber, steel, sand, gravel, and everything you need for your home and business project. Open every day, Sunday to Sunday from 8 a.m. Same low prices on all your hardware supplies. Give us a call at 646-2144 or check out our new location at number 97 Eastern Main Road, Aruca. We also provide free quotations via our WhatsApp number 327-7761. Losing a loved one is hard, and the toll it may take on the family can be overbearing, emotionally and mentally. We at Precious Memories Funeral Services Limited strive to make this time of grief less exhausting. Our goal is to treat your loved ones with utmost respect by providing dignified and professional services. Our services include, but are not limited to, funeral memorial planning, pre-arrangements for funeral cremations,